An enumerator is like a list of named constants. They provide user-friendly, descriptive names for a list of values. Examples include days of the week, or list of colors, or a list of access rights to a file, or a list of printers. Now remember that each element in the enumeration is represented by a user-friendly name. The .NET framework uses enumerations within its own class library. Wherever there's a list of possible choices, the .NET framework uses enumerations. Let's take a look. Here we've got two lines of code. This .backColor, so this is a property set. I'm modifying the backColor property. And I'm setting it equal to cyan. Now cyan is actually a member or an element of the color enumeration. Now that color enumeration is a .NET enumeration that comes from the class libraries. Here's another example of an enumeration. This argument is, what buttons do you want to include in the message box? And there's a list of those, as well as there's a list of colors for the color enumeration. This enumeration is called message box buttons. And we're setting that to yes, no. Now here's just a few .NET enumerations. Days of the week, file access, like read or write, or no access. And we also have the message box buttons, and that's what we're using up here. Aside from the enumerators that are available within the .NET library, you can also create your own enumerators for your own needs. Now you might want to create an enumeration for a list of countries that your company ships to, or a list of road types like street, boulevard, way, or avenue. When you define an enumerator, you need to specify the name of the enumerator and the name of each element in the enumerator. Now the default underlying type of each element is an integer, and by default, the first enumerator element has a value of 0. And the values of each successive enumerator element is increased by 1. Here we've created two enumerators, one called row type and one called name prefix. Now what enumerators allow you to do is group together a list of constants that share a common factor. These are all road types. So if you were building an application where you were shipping mailing labels out, you might want to store a road type enumerator to be used by users who are typing in addresses. Here we've got 3 elements in this enumerator. Now because we haven't set values to them, by default the value of that first element is a 0, then a 1, and then a 2. The next enumerator we have is name prefix. Now you can see that we've created our own customized numbering system here. We've given all of these elements an even value to denote a female gender, and the male gender, the Mr., is an odd. Now what does this allow me to do? Well, this allows me to provide a nice, neat way of expressing a group of values or a group of options. Here we have a contact person, and we're setting the prefix property equal to, and now we have a name prefix enumerator that the user can use to express the prefix or to change or set the prefix property. Now one really nice thing about this is if you type in the enumerator in Visual Studio, when you type the dot notation, it will drop down and show you a listing of values. And then all the user has to do is just select from that list. The user doesn't have to remember any constant names. The user doesn't have to remember any numeric values that represent those names. The IntelliSense in Visual Studio will actually provide for them the list of elements in that enumerator. Enumerators are a way of grouping together constants but providing user-friendly or descriptive names for each of the elements in the enumerator.